The sun was setting over Miami's skyline, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. The busy streets were finally starting to quiet down as rush hour traffic thinned out. It had been another long day of training for Lionel Messi, and he was looking forward to getting home to spend time with his family. As he drove his white Mercedes SUV through the city streets, the fuel gauge caught his attention. He needed to make an unexpected stop. Pulling into a small gas station on the corner of a modest neighborhood, Messi noticed something different about this place. Unlike the sleek, modern stations he usually visited, this one had a worn but well-maintained look about it. The fluorescent lights flickered slightly, casting a gentle glow over the empty parking lot. As he stepped out of his car, the warm Miami breeze carrying the scent of nearby food trucks and blooming flowers, Messi's attention was drawn to movement near the store entrance. There, a pregnant woman in a blue uniform was carefully sweeping the walkway, one hand supporting her back as she worked. Despite her visible exhaustion and her advanced pregnancy, she moved with determination, making sure every corner was spotless. What caught Messi's eye wasn't just her condition, it was her dedication. While most people would have taken shortcuts or done the bare minimum, she was meticulously cleaning areas that most customers wouldn't even notice. Her uniform badge glinted under the station lights as she paused to catch her breath, revealing her name written in simple black letters. Through the store windows, Messi could see her moving between tasks with practiced efficiency. One moment she was restocking shelves, carefully lifting boxes that seemed too heavy for her condition. The next, she was behind the register, greeting customers with a genuine warmth that seemed remarkable given her obvious fatigue. Some customers barely looked up from their phones, while others simply handed over their money without a word, but her smile never wavered. As Messi watched, a small incident unfolded that truly captured his attention. A young customer had accidentally spilled their coffee near the entrance. Before anyone could react, the pregnant woman was already there with a mop, waving off the customer's embarrassed apologies with a kind word and a gentle laugh. "No worries," he heard her say, "these things happen to everyone." The soccer star found himself delaying his usual quick gas station routine, pretending to browse the snack aisles while observing more of this remarkable scene. The woman moved between tasks with the kind of quiet grace that comes from years of hard work and unwavering responsibility. She reminded him of so many people from his childhood in Argentina, people who carried their struggles with dignity and their dreams with hope. What struck him most was how she handled each interaction. Whether it was a grumpy late-night customer or a group of chatty teenagers, she treated everyone with the same level of respect and attention. In between customers, he noticed her taking quick breaks to rest her feet or adjust her position, but she never complained or slowed down. The store itself wasn't particularly special, just your typical gas station convenience store with rows of snacks, drinks, and basic necessities. But under her care, every shelf was organized, every floor space was clean, and every customer was attended to promptly. It was clear that she took pride in her work, regardless of how others might view her job. As Messi finally approached the counter to pay for his gas, he couldn't help but notice the small details, her slightly swollen ankles, the way she shifted her weight to find comfort, the tired but determined look in her eyes. Yet there was something else there too, a spark of resilience, a quiet strength that spoke of someone who faced life's challenges head-on. This wasn't just another employee doing their job. This was someone who embodied the very values that Messi had learned throughout his own journey: persistence, dedication, and dignity in the face of challenges. As he stood there, watching her scan his items with careful efficiency, the football star felt a familiar stirring in his heart, the same feeling he got when he recognized an opportunity to make a real difference in someone's life. The woman's story began to unfold like countless others in Miami's vibrant but challenging landscape. Her name was Maria Rodriguez, though her friends called her Mary, and her journey was one of quiet determination and unwavering hope. At 32, she carried herself with the kind of grace that comes from facing life's hardships head-on, her eyes holding both exhaustion and determination in equal measure. Every morning, she would wake up at 4:30 a.m., carefully preparing lunch for her 7-year-old son before her mother arrived to take him to school. Her small apartment, filled with the sound of early morning radio and the scent of fresh coffee, told the story of a life lived with purpose. Photos on the wall showed her son's growth, from his first steps to his recent soccer games in the community park, where he played with boundless energy despite wearing hand-me-down cleats. 8 months into her pregnancy, Maria worked 2 jobs, the night shift at the gas station and morning hours cleaning offices in a nearby business district. Her colleagues often urged her to slow down, to take it easier, especially now. But Maria would just smile, adjust her uniform, and continue working. She knew every dollar saved would matter when the baby arrived. The decision to keep working wasn't an easy one. Her doctor had suggested taking early leave, concerned about the long hours on her feet. But Maria had done the math countless times during quiet moments at the gas station. The rent for her small 2-bedroom apartment, the growing stack of medical bills, her son's school supplies, every expense was carefully calculated and accounted for in a one notebook she kept in her uniform pocket. During her breaks, she would often sit in the back room, one hand resting on her growing belly, the other holding her phone as she watched soccer highlights. It wasn't just casual interest. She had grown up loving the sport, playing in her neighborhood until life's responsibilities took priority. Now, she shared that passion with her son, spending precious free hours teaching him the basics in their small backyard, using a makeshift goal made from PVC pipes. Her co-workers at the gas station had become like family, covering for her when morning sickness had been particularly rough in the early months, bringing her homemade meals and keeping an eye out for her during late shifts. They knew about her dreams, not just for herself, but for her children. She wanted her son to have the chance to play in proper soccer leagues, to have new cleats that actually fit, to pursue his passion without the constraints she had faced. The new baby, she would tell anyone who asked, was going to be another blessing, another reason to push forward. Even as her feet swelled and her back ached, Maria maintained her routine with unwavering dedication. She had arranged her schedule so she could still attend her son's weekend soccer games, cheering from the sidelines and filming every moment on her old smartphone to watch together later. Her story wasn't unusual in Miami, a city full of dreamers and hard workers. What made Maria stand out was her persistent optimism, her ability to find joy in small moments between the challenges. Whether it was teaching a new employee the ropes at the gas station, helping a lost customer with directions, or simply keeping the store spotless despite her condition, she approached each task with the same careful attention. The coming months would be tough, she knew that. The baby's arrival would mean new challenges, new expenses, new juggling acts between work and family. But Maria had always believed in the power of hard work and kindness, values she was already passing on to her son. She kept her dreams alive through the little things, saving newspaper clippings about local soccer academies, researching night classes she hoped to take one day, and maintaining a small savings account that grew penny by penny. As her shift continued that evening, she remained unaware that her life was about to change. The simple acts of dedication she performed every day, the careful cleaning, the warm customer service, the quiet determination to provide for her family, had caught the attention of someone who understood the value of persistence and the power of dreams. Standing near the snack aisle, Messi found himself deeply moved by the scene unfolding before him. The familiar ache of recognition stirred in his chest as he watched Maria navigate her challenging shift. Every movement, every interaction seemed to echo stories from his own past, memories of similar struggles he'd witnessed in the humble neighborhoods of Rosario, Argentina. A rush of customers had just entered the store, mostly tired workers heading home after long shifts. Maria greeted each one with the same warm smile, despite having been on her feet for hours. Messi noticed how she subtly supported her back with one hand while operating the register with practiced efficiency. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows under her eyes, revealing the fatigue she tried so hard to hide. Through the store windows, the Miami night had settled in completely, bringing with it the kind of humid warmth that made everything feel more challenging. A group of teenagers came in, loudly discussing a soccer match they'd just finished playing at a nearby field. Maria's eyes lit up briefly at their conversation, and Messi caught her making a small gesture that he recognized instantly. The subtle mime of a soccer kick, almost unconscious, as she listened to their excited chatter. The sight transported him back to his own mother's struggles, to the community that had supported his family during tough times. He remembered the local shop owners who had slipped extra bread into their bags, the neighbors who had helped watch him while his parents worked. Now, watching Maria handle a difficult customer with grace, he saw that same spirit of dignity in the face of challenges. An elderly couple entered the store, clearly tourists lost on their way to their hotel. Despite the late hour and her visible exhaustion, Maria took the time to draw them a detailed map on the back of a receipt, even offering suggestions for safe routes and landmarks to watch for. The couple left with grateful smiles, but Messi noticed how Maria winced slightly as she bent to pick up some trash they'd unknowingly dropped. A delivery truck arrived outside, and Messi watched with growing concern as Maria began to move toward the back door. The boxes would need to be checked and sorted, a task that seemed daunting given her condition. Before she could reach the door, a young coworker rushed in from his break, gently insisting he would handle the delivery. The look of reluctant gratitude on Maria's face spoke volumes about her character, someone unused to accepting help, even when needed. Throughout all this, Messi observed the small details that others might miss. The way she kept a water bottle hidden behind the counter, taking quick sips between customers. The gentle way she rubbed her belly when she thought no one was watching, perhaps sharing a quiet moment with her unborn child. The careful way she organized the money in the register, counting each bill twice, treating every task with the same attention to detail that he recognized from his own training sessions. A young boy came in with his father, wearing a worn Inter Miami jersey. Maria's face softened noticeably as she watched them, and Messi could read the thoughts crossing her mind, dreams and hopes for her own son's future. The boy shyly asked about the price of a sports drink, counting coins in his small hand. Without hesitation, Maria reached into her own pocket to make up the small difference when he came up short. The more Messi watched, the more he recognized something familiar in Maria's demeanor, the same quiet determination he'd seen in his own family members, in teammates who had risen from humble beginnings, in the countless people who kept pushing forward despite the odds. Each careful movement, each patient interaction told the story of someone who refused to let circumstances define their worth. As the night wore on, he noticed how other regular customers treated her, the truck drivers who made sure to clean their boots before entering, the late-night workers who brought her small snacks or drinks, the local security guard who made regular passes by the store to check on her. She had created her own small community here, earned their respect through consistent kindness and unwavering dedication. Messi felt a deep stirring in his heart, the kind that had always guided his most meaningful decisions, both on and off the field. He was someone who embodied everything he believed in: hard work, dignity, and the kind of quiet strength that truly changes the world. As he watched her begin to restock shelves again, carefully balancing her movements against her pregnancy, he knew he couldn't simply walk away from what he was witnessing. The moment of decision came as the store settled into a quiet lull. Messi had been pretending to browse the aisles, moving between snacks and drinks while gathering his courage. He wasn't worried about being recognized. His simple training clothes and baseball cap usually provided enough anonymity. Instead, he was concerned about approaching in a way that wouldn't overwhelm or frighten a woman working alone at night. Finally, he picked up a sports drink and some energy bars, making his way to the counter. Maria greeted him with the same warm smile she'd given every customer, though exhaustion lined her face. "Will this be all for you tonight?" she asked, her voice carrying a gentle accent that reminded Messi of home. "Actually," he began, carefully choosing his words, "I noticed you seem to know a lot about soccer." He gestured toward the small TV behind the counter, which was silently showing highlights from a recent match. Maria's eyes lit up slightly, and her hand unconsciously moved to her belly as she smiled. "Oh yes, it's my favorite sport," she replied, scanning his items. "My little boy, he loves it too. Every evening after my shift, no matter how tired I am, we practice in our backyard. He has such natural talent." She paused, seeming almost embarrassed by her enthusiasm. "I'm sorry, you probably just want to pay for your items." Messi shook his head, smiling. "No, please tell me more about your son's soccer. Does he have a favorite team? A favorite player?" He watched as her face brightened, the fatigue momentarily forgotten as she spoke about her child's passion for the game. "He loves Inter Miami now," she said, laughing softly. "Ever since they started getting more attention, but we can't afford to go to games. Instead, we watch highlights on my phone during breaks at work. He's learning all the players' names, all their moves. Sometimes he tries to copy them in our backyard." Her voice trailed off as she looked more closely at Messi's face, a flicker of recognition crossing her features. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as understanding slowly dawned in her eyes. Her hands, which had been automatically bagging his items, went still. "You're," she began, then stopped, looking around as if to make sure no one else was nearby. "You're him, aren't you? My son has your poster on his wall. The one from the newspaper." Her voice trembled slightly, not with excitement, but with a kind of quiet awe that came from recognizing not just a celebrity, but someone who represented hope. Messi nodded gently, removing his cap. "I am," he said simply. "But more importantly, I'm someone who understands what it means to have dreams, to work hard, to want better opportunities for family." He gestured toward her belly, then around the store. "I've been watching you work tonight. You remind me of my own mother, of so many people who helped me along my journey." Maria's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away, ever the professional. A car pulled into the gas station, its headlights sweeping across the store windows. "I should," she began, starting to move toward the door to assist the new customer. "Wait," Messi said softly. "Please, I'd like to hear more about your son, about your dreams for him. And for this little one," he added, nodding toward her belly. "Sometimes life puts us in certain places for a reason. Tonight, I didn't really need gas. My tank was half full. But something made me stop here." The next customer, seeing Messi at the counter, respectfully moved to wait by the drink section, seeming to sense the importance of the moment unfolding. Maria looked at him gratefully, then back to Messi, her hands clasped protectively over her uniform. "Dreams?" she said quietly. "My dreams are simple. I want my children to have chances I didn't have. To play soccer without worrying about torn shoes. To study without worrying about bills. Her voice caught slightly, to not have to watch their mother work 2 jobs just to make ends meet." As she spoke, Messi pulled out his phone, his mind already forming a plan. The simple honesty in her words, the dignity with which she carried herself, the love for both soccer and family, it all resonated deeply with his own values. He knew that sometimes the most meaningful changes started with simple conversations like this one, in quiet moments when paths unexpectedly crossed. The night air had grown cooler as Messi sat in his car outside the gas station, his heart heavy with what he'd witnessed. The store's lights cast a gentle glow across the parking lot as he made a series of phone calls, his voice quiet but filled with purpose. First, he contacted his foundation's director, explaining the situation with an urgency that spoke of his emotional investment in Maria's story. "It's not just about giving money," he explained into the phone, watching through the window as Maria continued her shift, now helping an elderly customer find the right type of coffee. "It's about creating real change, about giving someone the tools to build a better life." His foundation director listened carefully, already familiar with how seriously Messi took these personal projects. As they talked through possibilities, Messi's mind kept returning to small details he'd noticed, the worn soles of Maria's work shoes, the way she carefully counted her tips before tucking them into a small envelope marked soccer fund, the gentle determination in her eyes when she spoke about her children's future. Each detail reinforced his conviction that this was about more than just a single act of kindness. His next call was to Inter Miami's community outreach coordinator. "We need to create a position," he said, pacing beside his car. "Something that uses her strengths, her work ethic, her connection to the community, her love for soccer." The coordinator, though surprised by the late-night call, quickly caught Messi's vision. They began sketching out a role that would provide not just employment, but a career path. Inside the store, unaware of the plans being made, Maria continued her duties. Messi watched as she took a brief break, sitting on a small stool behind the counter, one hand resting on her belly while she quickly ate a few bites of a sandwich. The sight strengthened his resolve. He dialed another number, this time to his personal lawyer. "I want to make sure everything is done right," he insisted, his voice firm but kind. "She needs proper healthcare, maternity leave, education opportunities for her kids." His lawyer began taking notes, already familiar with Messi's attention to detail when it came to helping others. They discussed trust funds, educational savings accounts, and ways to ensure the assistance would create lasting change rather than temporary relief. Between calls, Messi noticed the store's manager arriving for the night check-in. Without hesitation, he stepped out of his car and approached the man. Their conversation was quiet but intense, with Messi expressing his concerns about a pregnant woman working such long hours in potentially dangerous conditions. The manager, initially defensive, softened as he realized who he was speaking with and the genuine concern behind the questions. "She's our best employee," the manager admitted, looking through the window at Maria as she restocked shelves. "But you're right, these hours, this physical work, it's too much in her condition. We just couldn't afford to give her paid leave." His voice trailed off as Messi nodded understanding, already forming plans to address this immediate concern. Back in his car, Messi made one final call to his wife. He needed her perspective, her guidance on how to help without overwhelming or embarrassing Maria. As they talked, he watched Maria help a young mother who had come in with a crying baby, offering her own chair and a kind word. His wife listened to the story and then added her own suggestions about how to structure the assistance in a way that would preserve Maria's dignity and independence. The plan came together piece by piece: immediate paid maternity leave, a new position with Inter Miami's community programs, educational support for both children, and comprehensive healthcare coverage. But more than that, it would include mentorship opportunities, career development, and a chance for Maria to build the kind of life she'd been working so hard to achieve. As midnight approached, Messi sat in his car making final notes. Through the store windows, he could see Maria preparing for the end of her shift, her movements slower now but still determined. Tomorrow would bring changes she couldn't imagine, but tonight she was still the same hardworking mother he'd first noticed hours ago. He smiled, knowing that sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest moments of recognition, one person seeing the quiet dignity in another's struggle and choosing to act. The next morning arrived with the kind of golden sunshine Miami was famous for. Maria had just started her shift at the gas station, her tired eyes showing the strain of another night with little rest. She hadn't told anyone about her encounter with Messi the previous evening. It felt almost like a dream, something too extraordinary to share. The morning rush had just begun to slow when a small group of people walked into the store. Maria noticed them immediately. They were dressed too professionally for the usual gas station crowd. A woman in a neat business suit led the group, carrying a folder with the Inter Miami CF logo. Behind her were two men in business casual attire, and bringing up the rear was a familiar face that made Maria's heart skip, Messi himself, wearing a gentle smile. "Mrs. Rodriguez," the woman began warmly, "we'd like to speak with you for a moment, if that's okay." Maria looked uncertainly at her manager, who had appeared from the back office with an encouraging nod. "It's all right," he said. "I'll watch the register." They gathered in the small break room, where the morning sun streamed through a dusty window. Maria sat down carefully, one hand resting on her belly, trying to calm her racing heart. The woman from Inter Miami opened her folder and began to speak, but her words seemed to float in the air as Maria tried to process what was happening. "Full paid maternity leave, starting immediately," the woman explained, her voice kind. "Complete healthcare coverage for you and both children." She laid out papers on the break room's worn table, each one representing a different aspect of the gift that was about to change Maria's life. Maria's hands trembled as she looked at the documents. "But why?" she whispered, looking up at Messi, who had been quietly watching from near the door. He stepped forward, pulling up a chair to sit at eye level with her. "Because some people deserve a chance to make their dreams come true," he said simply. "Not just their own dreams, but the dreams they have for their children." He gestured to the papers. "This isn't charity, Maria. This is an opportunity, one you've earned through your hard work and dedication." The woman from Inter Miami continued explaining. After her maternity leave, there would be a position waiting for Maria in their community outreach program. "We need people who understand both soccer and community," she explained. "People who can connect with families, who can help build our youth programs from the ground up." Tears began rolling down Maria's cheeks as she learned about the educational trust funds being set up for both her children. Her son would have the chance to join proper soccer training programs, to have the equipment he needed, to pursue his passion without the barriers that had held back his mother. "There's more," Messi said softly, pulling out a small envelope. Inside was a special pass. permanent access to Inter Miami's training facility and home games. For your son, he explained, watching as Maria's hands shook while holding the pass. Every young player needs inspiration, needs to see what's possible. The manager appeared in the doorway, holding a small cake from the store's refrigerator. Other employees had begun gathering too, drawn by the extraordinary scene unfolding in their humble break room. Someone had quickly made a sign reading "Congratulations, Maria," using cardboard from a delivery box. As her co-workers crowded in, offering hugs and congratulations, Maria sat in stunned silence, looking at the papers that represented such an incredible change in her life. The baby kicked, as if sensing the joy and excitement in the room. She placed both hands on her belly, looking up at Messi with tears still streaming down her face. "I don't know how to thank you," she began, but Messi shook his head. "The best thanks," he said, "will be seeing what you do with this opportunity. Sometimes life's biggest changes come when someone believes in you as much as you believe in your children." The morning sun continued to stream through the window, catching the tears on Maria's cheeks and turning them to gold. Outside, customers came and went, unaware that in this small break room, a life was being transformed through an act of kindness that recognized the extraordinary in an ordinary day. 3 months later, the small gas station had transformed into something of a local landmark. People would stop by just to see where the story began, the story that had touched hearts across Miami and beyond. The store's new manager had put up a small framed photo of Maria with Messi, turning the humble break room into a reminder that kindness can appear in the most unexpected places. Maria had given birth to a healthy baby girl, surrounded by the love and support of her newfound Inter Miami family. The birth announcement had been celebrated at the club's offices, where her new desk waited for her return from maternity leave. Her co-workers from the gas station had organized a baby shower that turned into a community celebration, with local families bringing gifts and sharing in the joy. But the most touching changes were visible in Maria's son's life. No longer playing in worn-out cleats, he now trained twice a week at Inter Miami's youth development program. His eyes would light up every time he stepped onto the professional training fields, the same grounds where his heroes practiced. The coaches often commented on his natural talent, but even more on his work ethic, a trait clearly inherited from his mother. Word of Messi's act of kindness had spread through Miami's business community, inspiring others to look more closely at their own practices. Several local companies had revised their policies regarding pregnant employees, creating more supportive environments for working mothers. The gas station chain itself had implemented new guidelines across all its locations, ensuring better conditions and support for expecting mothers. One sunny afternoon, Maria sat in the stands at Inter Miami Stadium, her baby girl sleeping peacefully in her arms, while her son participated in a youth showcase on the main field. She watched with tears of joy as he played alongside other children, his movements showing the confidence that comes from knowing you're exactly where you belong. From her new position in community outreach, she had helped organize this very event, making sure other children from similar backgrounds had the same opportunities her son now enjoyed. The ripple effects of that fateful night continued to spread. Maria's story had become a symbol of hope in the community, especially among working mothers. She often spoke at local events, sharing her journey from the gas station to her new role, encouraging others to hold on to their dreams while supporting their children's aspirations. The gas station itself had become a gathering spot for young soccer players and their families. The new management, inspired by Maria's story, had set up a small display of soccer memorabilia, including signed photos and equipment donated by Inter Miami players. They'd even installed a small TV that always showed soccer matches, creating a welcoming atmosphere for sports-loving customers. During community events at Inter Miami, Maria would sometimes share her story with new families joining the youth programs. She would talk about those long nights at the gas station, about teaching her son soccer in their small backyard, about the unexpected moment when kindness changed everything. But more importantly, she would emphasize how this change had enabled her to help others, creating a chain reaction of opportunity and hope. The local soccer community had grown stronger, more inclusive, and more supportive. Other businesses and organizations had stepped up, offering similar opportunities to families in need. What started as one act of kindness had bloomed into a movement of community support and encouragement. Messi, Whenever asked about Maria in interviews, would simply smile and say that some of the most important goals in life are scored off the field. He would visit the youth training sessions occasionally, always taking time to chat with Maria's son and the other children, reinforcing the message that dreams combined with hard work can lead to extraordinary moments. 1 year after that fateful night, Maria stood at the gas station once more, not as an employee, but as a guest of honor. The store was celebrating its transformation into a community hub, and she had been asked to speak. Looking at the familiar walls and floors she had once cleaned, Maria shared a simple truth that had become the heart of her story. Sometimes the biggest changes in life come not from grand gestures, but from small moments of recognition, when one person sees the dignity and worth in another's quiet struggle.